Good morning. Uh, this is Ala Shaheen. I work for DARPE. DARPE is the abbreviation of DARPE is Development Assistance Roadmap Portal in the Middle East. DARPE main function is to aggregate, identify tenders and grants opportunities published and funded by international development agencies and by donor agencies. So we aggregate them from 550 sources, and we classify them so our members, DARPE members, can easily search and filter those opportunities that are relevant to their scope of services and relevant to their expertise in development sectors they are working in. In this way, people can save their time and save their costs navigating so many complex websites. But DARPE is not only listing of tenders and the grants and where people receive on daily alert of these tenders and the grant opportunities published for lucrative ones published by hundreds of international organizations and donor agencies from USAID to European Union to KfW to ACTED to World Vision. But DARPE links these tenders and grants with profiles of each organization, client organization, so people can understand the client more by understanding who has worked with the client before, so they can identify their competitors or their partners. And they can check all list of procurement notices published by such a client organization. So organizations, individuals, and consulting firms can understand the background of such a client, his wants and needs. From these requests for proposals, from these procurement notices, to capitalize on the information there available. So then contractors and consulting firms and individuals can write a client-focused proposal, which is one way to have a winning proposal. But this is not enough. DARPE even but a database for consultants, so they can be recruited through these organizations to bid for grants and to bid for tender opportunities. So we make available best and brightest individual consultants are listed on DARPE. We have about more than 300 plus of development consultants who have worked in the Middle East before. So they have development experience and Middle East experience. So this is a great roster and database for consulting firms, for non-governmental organizations to identify consultants there. DARPE, that's why we have found that many organizations, non-governmental organizations, many consulting firms are applying for jobs and applying for tenders and grants, and they miss one thing, which is tailoring the CVs of their proposed staff. Having good CV, usually in requests for proposals or requests for applications for grants, CVs or personnel constitute a large percentage of the evaluation criteria. Sometimes reaching 50% of the evaluation criteria is allocated on the caliber and the qualification of the CVs proposed. But the question is, can we put this large 14 pages CV in a proposal? Or are these CVs which we put in the proposal are in line with the request for proposal, are in line with the role proposed? Then comes the work of proposal writers and recruiting staff to amend and tailor the CVs to amend and tailor the CVs. 1 minute, please. To amend and tailor these CVs to be in line with the requirements. Generally, if you have a CV, if you ask a consultant how many CVs you have, a consultant may say, I have 3 or 4 CVs. each CV in a certain area of expertise, or a certain sector of expertise, or a certain skill he has. You can find a consultant whose CV is a monitoring and evaluation, mainly is working on mainly and is working on monitoring and evaluation, and then you can find him as well. You can find him as well another CV in a capacity building, and a third CV in communication skills, working all in the same projects, have the same projects in the three CVs, but every time he's showing his project differently, and he shows and emphasizes the skill that he is differently. So when he applies for a communication program, a communication officer, he submits his CV that shows the communication expertise. If he applies for a monitoring and evaluation, he shows the CV that concentrates and focuses on monitoring and evaluation. So tailoring CVs is important for any consultant who would like to get a job, or specifically for those consulting firms or non-governmental organizations, while they are preparing their proposals, they have to tailor and amend the CVs and the personnel CVs they propose, so they can make sure that they can get the highest evaluation score, and accordingly potentially a winning proposal, a winning grant. So we go to the second slide. Here is the different perspectives. In this slide, you can see the different perspectives from a recruiter or evaluator, as well as from the proposed CV or from the consultant himself who's applying for that job. For the evaluator who is evaluating proposals and comes to the personnel section of the proposal and wants to evaluate the CV, the proposed CVs, and make sure that in line with the requirements, or if he's a recruiter and would like to see to search these CVs and to see if they are in line with the requirements, he asks himself a couple of questions, the recruiter and the evaluator. What he asks himself? He asks himself about, does the candidate have what it takes to do the job? Will the candidate fit in specifically for that specific job and specific role for that specific project that I'm asking and I'm recruiting for? Is this the best candidate for that position? Why they are asking these questions? Because they want to hire great people so they can make sure that a more effective and productive project workplace is attained while they hire the best people in the best place. The candidate usually asks himself, when I'm applying for a job, do I want the job? Can I do the job? Does the job supports my career growth, my career plans? I want to wait a little bit. Do you hear me, guys? Could anyone say yes or no? Do you hear me? Okay, great. Thank you very much. These are the questions from the perspective from the recruiter or the evaluator, and these are the questions or the inquiries from the job seeker. What it takes to have a good CV. What it takes to have a good CV. To have a good CV, either if you are a job seeker and applying for a job, or either you are a proposal writer and you are putting this personnel section and you are putting these CVs, proposed CVs, into the tender, into the proposal document. What it takes to have a good CV. First of all, it should be well-structured CV in a chronological order, reverse order, from the latest to the oldest. A very well-structured, neat, bulleted CV. To have a good CV as well, the CV should be short and easy to read. Maximum 1 to 3 pages. and sometimes 1 page. Sometimes because proposal document, there is a limitation of paper or of number of pages. So they have recruiters has to work great work to produce, reduce, and make a CV into 1 page that's showing and demonstrating the capacity and capability of that proposed staff so they can be winners. You cannot imagine that evaluators or recruiters will read a CV of 17 pages. So it should be a short and easy to read CV. The third one should be skimmable. Yani someone who's reading your CV, he can read it he can skim it and skip it easily and can understand it in 30 seconds. So don't overwhelm your CV with blocks of text. A fourth item to have a good CV, that your CV should paint a picture of your capabilities and qualifications, skills, and caliber and character. You should able to, the CV should be story to tell. To have a good CV as well, you have to have differentiators, why you are different, what are your unique aspects, and these unique aspects that in line with the request for proposal, or unique aspects that are in line or responding to the job description, you have to outline them like 5 or 6 points, and then you weave them into the whole CV. So after reading that, the evaluator or the recruiter can get with these 4 or 5 or 6 items that differentiate you from others. That's stuck in his mind, stuck in his brain, and will always remember you. To have a good CV for a specific job, for a specific tender, for a specific grant, for a specific job description, you need to use buzzwords. Use the same buzzwords from the job description or from the RFP, makes your CV more familiar and friendly to the reader. So these are 6 items that are a must for a great CV. But these are the 6 items are important to have a great CV for any scenario, either as an individual consultant or an individual employee who is applying for a specific job, or either for the recruiters or the proposal managers, proposal writers who are writing CVs or reviewing CVs of proposed staff, proposed employees for a specific job, for a specific tender, for a specific grant. The ultimate goal that your CV should be tailored and targeted. What does it mean, targeted? That the CV should respond to the job description. The CV should respond to the requirements of the job, and the CV should respond to the client needs. The CV should respond to the client wants and needs specifically. So it should be targeted. You need to read the job description carefully. You need to read the request for proposal carefully, understand what is required from skills and requirements and experience, and then tailor your CV accordingly. So someone said, okay, so do you want me to lie? I said, no, it's not about lying at all. Here is, when you write your resume, don't exaggerate. Just emphasize the good parts. And someone say, okay, what are the good parts? These are the parts which qualify with the skills and the qualifications that you have in a similar role and a similar project to the one that you are applying for. Or the skills and capacities that you have and competences that you have in line with what is required in the job description or what is required in the request for proposal for the proposed role that you are assigned to. So we are not asking when you tailor and write your CV to lie or to exaggerate, but to show, to amplify your good parts, but not to amplify in vain, but to amplify based on the request for proposal or job description. There should be a linkages between two things here. So you have to have two layers in your brain. One is about who you are, what you are doing, and why you are doing, and then with the ones in the RFP or the job description, and then link them together. I will discuss two main points on the CV, the important sections of the CV. I will not go into the structuring the whole CV, but because I will go into the most important parts, which is about how to tailor and write our key qualifications. Key qualifications should be written in, and a first line is called elevator line, in which you discuss who you are, what you do, how and why you are doing it. This should be read in 30 seconds. The time the elevator goes up. If you find someone in the elevator and you would like to introduce yourself, you need to say something less than 30 seconds. From that line, the recruiter or the one in the elevator will remember you and will select you later on. So you have to have an elevator line in which you need to show yourself in less than 30 seconds. This is the first line in the key qualification part of your CV. This will be followed by 2 paragraphs, 1 to 2 paragraphs, in which you talk about brief description about what do you think the evaluator would like to know about you? What do you think the recruiter would like to know? So you start talking about in general, about the projects that you have been managing or designing, the dollar value of these projects, the geographies that you have been working at, the type of deliverables you have been given, like needs assessment, capacity building, or baseline or design basis reports, what kind of shop drawings, final evaluation, organizational structure, what kind of deliverables you have done for the whole and generally. And for instance, you can include certain specific approaches or methods you have been applying or mechanisms you have been applying in your years of experience. So you have these 2 paragraphs is a summary statement of what the client would like to learn more about you from previous experiences that you have. Key qualification again is consisting of 3 main sections or 2 main sections. One is an elevator line, which is a selling of who you are, what you do, how and why you are doing it. And then 1 or 2 paragraphs, another summary statement of whatever the client would like or the recruiter or the evaluator would like to hear from you. Once you finish this 1 or 2 paragraphs with the first line and 1 or 2 paragraphs of key qualification, you start putting your expertise in the chronological order. Preferably from the latest to the oldest, from the recent to the past. But here you have to write about the projects and the role of each project you have worked before. This is your previous experience. In doing so, you have to, again, tailor it to the requirements. So, first of all, each project, each experience, let's say you have worked as a lead project designer for a project for the last 2 years. What you shall write here about it? What you need to make sure that you are going to write. First, what's the project name you have been assigned to? Where is it? The location? Then what is your role exactly? Describe your role. For example, I have been working as a lead project designer. This is my role. What was my responsibilities? Responsible for leading the design effort from project initiation through construction drawings. Simply. And then you need to describe the project for the recruiter or for the evaluator to feel the size and the details of that project. Just describe the project, the phase of the work, the details and size of that project. So I can understand this person works in large complex programs, or this person only can work in a small projects. This person can handle 18 or 20 small projects at the same time, but this person can handle only one large one, but cannot handle many tasks at the same time or many subcomponents. This is understanding of who you are by what capacity you have, by giving details on the size and description of the project you have worked in. Then you have to identify the name of the client. You can end up this paragraph by saying noteworthy features about yourself or impact that you have done. For example, you have been able to reduce claims, or you have been able to save costs, or you have been able to ensure targeting, or you have been able to enhance inclusiveness, or you have been able to be ahead of schedule. These are selling. So to summarize, again, each project, each experience you have should be tailored to the request for proposal, or should be tailored to the job description you are applying for. This is rule number one. Rule number two, how can I tailor it? Each one should have your project name, the role, the location, responsibilities, and summary of that project. So by now we have covered the key qualification section of your CV and the paragraph per each of your projects you have done, maximum, that are tailored to the requirements. And so on, and then you will, and so on, you will continue having your CV, and by the end, then you have to put your languages, your computer skills, your nationality, your awards, and of course, you need to have your education and trainings you have gotten. And these, it's our facts mainly, you just put them as it is. But what we have covered now is the most thing is about the narrative that you write in, so you don't overwhelm recruiters and you don't be irrelevant to their requirements, and you will to have a great first impression and to ensure that you're going to be shortlisted. Okay, and for an interview, you have to have the key qualifications and project descriptions and roles are tailored in line with the requirements. There's a big job that you have to do. You have to understand the request for proposal properly. You have to understand the job description properly. You have to go into the websites of these clients, understand what they are doing, why they are doing this, and why they are looking for that specific job, and what that specific job, if you are going to be recruited in, will deliver to the client. How you are going to be of assistance to the client when you are recruited. What in it for me from the client perspective if I'm hiring you? So this way you tailor your key narratives, key qualifications, and project descriptions. Generally, then I have two other slides to remain, which is our general advices for writing CVs. Usually, the advice says, usually use active verbs. Active verbs, because in this you can stress in your accomplishments, in your achievements with confidence. Better than passive verbs. These verbs are like prepare, design, develop, I have analyzed, I have written, managed, created, performed, supervised, demonstrated, evaluated, communicated, I have been able to integrate, resolved, achieved, provide, all of these. I have led, all of these excellent verbs that you can use to show your CV in an active manner, showing accomplishments and confidence. The last advice is when you write your CV, when you are writing your project descriptions and everything around your CV, you need to be specific. Recruiters, evaluators would like to quantify you, to weight you, understand your weight. You want to have you need to have relevant and measurable qualifications. For instance, don't write, I have extensive, great expertise, I'm an expert. No, say I have 9 years of traffic modeling experience. This will show your expertise, the number 9. Don't say, I have managed several projects, numerous projects, have large numbers of projects. Say how many projects you have managed. 25 bridge projects. Quantify it. Don't say, I have been working in various activities. Don't say various, it's vague. List these activities because they are various. They are different. Don't say, I am highly qualified. They don't care about this word. They say, prove it. Prove why you are highly qualified by saying the role, the description that you have, the project that you have worked with, the size of the project, the complexity of the project, and the impact that you have been able to achieve. Khalas. By this way, they understand that you are qualified. We finished our writing CVs and turning CVs session today. The whole purpose, as I have said in the beginning, was that many proposals written and many jobs you are applying for, people are failing to secure a developmental job, and they always ask why. The first thing they have to look at is their CVs. It's the main issue why they are not selected, why they are not shortlisted, why they are not winning the proposal, why they are not shortlisted for an interview. Look at your CV carefully and make sure that it's not a repetitive of written blocks, overwhelming, not skimmable, not readable, large, not tailored and not targeted. No, every time you have to go into any project or any job, you need to tailor your CV, to revise your CV so it can match with the requirements, the job requirements, the role requirements, and focus on these areas of your expertise to be in line with such requirements. You need to use active verbs. You need to quantify your CV so it could be measurable. And you need to have an elevator line. You need to show, you need to sell yourself in less than 30 seconds. The ones who are capable of doing this means that they are great persons, have been able to digest, have been able to simplify, have been able to show and demonstrate their expertise in much less time to others to read. And this is, it's an indicator of understanding and capacity and competency. Tailoring your CV and targeting your CV is the key to success. This model, this presentation will be available to DARPE members only. You can be a free DARPE member by registering your username and password, creating a username and password, and create your profile by having your CV or your organization profile uploaded at DARPE platform. Once you do that, you will be able to download this presentation and the slides of it. I'm hopeful that you have been able to benefit something today and that this presentation has contributed to a mind shift when it comes to writing CVs. Thank you very much for listening. All the questions will be responded to the ones who have attended today. Thank you so much again, and all the best.